After using Siri AI for the past month, it's clear it's the real deal. It's an actual personal assistant. But how does it compare with Google Gemini on something like a Pixel? Well, I'm going to show you a head-to-head comparison with Siri AI versus Gemini. We'll test world knowledge, personal context and how it can access information in your email, messages, and more, on-screen awareness helping you add calendar events, or even finding YouTube videos and music that you might see screenshotted on social media, and how much connection these assistants have to third-party apps. And I'll be doing all these requests side by side in real time so you can see how fast they each respond, and which one is more verbose. Now I've updated this Pixel 10 to Android 17, it's on the latest version, and this is iOS 27 Developer Beta 4, which has been pretty stable. Technically iOS 27 is still a beta, but I think it's ready for this test. Let's start with some general world knowledge. Who won the NBA Finals this year?
The New York Knicks won the 2026 NBA Finals, defeating the San Antonio Spurs 4-1.
I think they were a split second different, and as you can see, Gemini is going to have more verbose answers than Siri. But let's try one more. Who won the World Cup?
Spain won the 2026 FIFA World Cup, defeating Argentina 1-0 in extra time on July 19, 2026.
Well, for speed and brevity, which I prefer, Siri AI won on that. Now let's try something a little more complex. When is Hamilton the musical coming to Tampa's Strass Center?
October 21st.
Hamilton is scheduled to run at the Strass Center in Tampa.
So Gemini was a little faster, but now we have a date discrepancy. Let's see which one is actually accurate. Now expanding that result in Gemini, I actually don't have any links to follow that, but here Siri AI has given me several pages I can visit. Now checking the actual dates, it looks like the first showing you can buy tickets for is October 21st, so Gemini won the accuracy on that one. Now let's see how it does with weather while I'm traveling. I'm going to New York next week. Do I need to bring an umbrella?
It's likely to rain starting next Monday in New York, New York.
High of 81 and a low of 71. Tuesday and Wednesday, it'll be rainy.
All right, I feel like Gemini just talked for a full-on minute. So when it comes to brevity, I definitely prefer Siri's responses here, but it both gave me the weather. Siri didn't necessarily answer my question on whether I should bring an umbrella, whereas Gemini said, yes, pack one. I'm going to turn the voice responses off for the rest of the video because having them both talk at the same time is a bit much. But so you know, the Siri AI voice I think sounds really good, and you can adjust that pace, which I have cranked almost all the way up.
Let's find the right voice for you. I'll practice some things I like to say while you listen. Let me try this one out. You have one new message. Here's another one.
And I like the expressivity up almost all the way. And in Developer Beta 4, it looks like you'll be able to select different accents, so I could choose something like Australian, but I don't have the pace and expressivity sliders just yet. So hopefully that's coming by the official release. Overall, I find both assistants to be pretty good at world knowledge. I like the brevity of Siri AI, sometimes with accuracy or things like actually telling me to bring an umbrella rather than just sharing the weather. Gemini can win out, but I think they're both comparable. But let's get into personal context. We're asking questions about specific family members, events like travel, things that might be in my email or text message. How good are they at surfacing those results? Now, my son is getting back from a trip this Sunday, so I'm going to ask both of them, what time should I leave for the airport on Sunday to pick up my son? Now, I'm specifically not giving it airlines that he's actually flying in, and you can see both of them are accessing personal context. Gemini kind of tells you what's happening, and Siri AI got the information first. It's showing me the email with the flight information and the calendar event, and told me what time I should leave. Now what's interesting with the Pixel, I've added my Fastmail account to the overall email accounts, but for some reason when I ask personal context details, it can't look in my Fastmail. I do have a calendar event with that information, so let's try again and specify it a little more. What time does my son arrive on Sunday? Now you can see Gemini is actually connecting to Google Calendar where I have the event, and it was able to find the flight information and pull it up. Now both of them are not getting the connecting flight, which is he's actually coming to Tampa after making this connection. So let's try it one more time. When do I pick up my son at the Tampa airport this Sunday? For some reason, Gemini can't find that email or the flight arrival time in Tampa, whereas Siri AI found it and actually did it pretty fast. Now let's see how it does finding something in my messages. What are some links that were shared with me in text messages? Now I do have messages here on the Pixel 10, and for some reason it says it can't read them, whereas Siri AI does a pretty good job finding any recent links. Let's try one more specifically with a calendar event. Where are we going to celebrate Whitney's birthday? Now I added an event to my Google Calendar specifically that said Whitney's birthday celebration, but for some reason the Pixel can't find it, whereas Siri AI, looking in my messages and conversations, it actually summarized what we're doing. And so you can see it, here's the actual event. I have my wife's name, the word birthday in the title, I have a location attached to it. This is actually not where we're going, but I thought it would be able to find it. But it did look at my Google search history, which is connected to personal intelligence, and suggested a place that is actually accurate based on what I was searching there. That is one of the benefits with personal intelligence and Gemini. If you give it personal intelligence access, which means it can look at your history for YouTube, your search history in Google, files in your Google Workspace, Google Docs, it will be able to pull information from all of that. So from your Google searches to YouTube and more, whereas Siri AI has to go off just what's on your phone. Your personal context and index is built per Apple device, so it's not going to know your search history, what you watched on YouTube, but it is trying to provide that personal context in a more private and secure way. And speaking of privacy and security, wouldn't it be great to manage all your finances in one place, securely and privately? Well, that's where today's sponsor comes in, Monarch. I've been using Monarch for months now, and now I can go to one place and get a clear picture across all my financial accounts. Monarch syncs with over 13,000 institutions. It's fast and secure setup, and I have all my bank accounts, credit cards, and I recently added my investments, so I can even keep an eye on my retirement right here. And Monarch is private and ad-free. You're the customer, not the product. There's no ads and no data selling. And one of my favorite features is this widget that I keep in my Today view. This way I can keep an eye on the transactions across all my accounts and maybe cancel a recurring bill. See your accounts, spending and net worth, debt payoff progress, recurring bills, all in one beautiful view. And Monarch has great flexible budgeting features where you can separate fixed versus flexible spending, and customizable rules and categories keep everything organized. And Monarch now has AI-powered insights. Monarch uses your real financial data to surface helpful explanations about your money, and it's couples ready. There's a shared view that keeps partners aligned with the same financial picture. And whether you're saving for your kids' college, that upcoming family vacation, and more, Monarch will help you keep track of that too. So scan this QR code or click the link down in the video description and use promo code Robles50 for 50% off your first year of Monarch. Get total money clarity and start using Monarch today. Scan this QR code or check out that link below. And my thanks to Monarch for sponsoring this video. But now let's move on to on-screen awareness. I've really been impressed with the on-screen awareness of Siri AI, and let's see how Gemini does. I'm going to be using some Instagram posts that I've saved, and by the way, you can follow me on Instagram. You can scan this QR code. I share iPhone tips, shortcuts, MagSafe accessories, and more. One of the things I was really impressed with Siri was being able to find a YouTube video just from a screenshot. So obviously there's no link here, but with a YouTube video on screen, I can ask both assistants, find this video on YouTube. Now Siri AI already found the video. I can expand it, tap the link, and I'm already watching it over here. And Gemini found it as well. I can tap the YouTube link right here in the response and brought me to the right video. Love being able to do that on both phones, both pretty fast. It can also do things like identify movies and TV shows. So it doesn't say Game of Thrones anywhere on the screen, but I can ask both, what TV show is this? Siri AI won the speed there, Game of Thrones. The Siri AI result gives me where to watch it, but Gemini even told me what character it was, the show, and the season and episode number. That's pretty slick. I do like the rich results here, so I can actually just tap and open this in Apple TV or HBO Max, but both gave me the right answer. It'll even work if I just took a screenshot or I have an image of a movie or TV show. This is one of my favorite disaster movies, and I can ask both, what movie is this? Siri did not get that correct, whereas Gemini did. It is in fact The Core, so point for Gemini on that one. Both assistants can also find music with something that's on screen. Find and play this music track. Now I like how Gemini actually froze the video for a moment, so it's actually showing me the screen it's getting information on. Siri AI already started playing it. There it is, Night Train. Gemini was asking where to play it from. I'll choose YouTube Music, and Gemini was able to start playing that track as well. Now that I connected Gemini to YouTube Music, let's see if it can go ahead and play a track by itself. This time I took a screenshot because it was going by too fast, and I'll ask both assistants, find and play this music track. And Siri AI started playing that song apparently 20 seconds ago. I missed that, but I do like how Siri AI just goes to playing it right away. Gemini's giving me lots of different options to actually play this. Apple Music, YouTube, and it'll start playing if I scroll down to that video automatically, but both are definitely capable of finding and identifying a song. Next, let's see how well they do finding a business from something like a social media post. One of my favorite restaurants in Ybor, El Puerto, and I'll ask both, find me this restaurant in Maps. Now it does have the name of the restaurant right there, and it should have access to my location. Siri AI beat it out first. There's the location, I can get directions right away, and now Google Maps found it as well. Both were accurate. Let's try one more. Probably the best coffee in Central Florida, Concord Coffee, gotta try it. Again, it has the name of the business there, also the city, and the city is listed in the caption, but let's see how they do. Find this coffee place in Maps. Oh, and sure enough, Apple Maps actually found both locations. There is a Winter Haven and Lakeland one, and Gemini found the Lakeland location, which is the one closest to me. Now, one thing both assistants are good at is parsing multiple pieces of data on screen, like events or maybe tasks, and then adding them to an app. All right, it was going by too fast, so I took a screenshot. Now let's try it. Add these dates to my calendar. Now, Gemini is needing more context to actually add these to my calendar. I'm not sure why. Siri AI asked if I wanted to add all the events or just one, but when I said all, it did them all. So there are the 4 dates from Pamplemousse, they're in my calendar already. I'm not sure what more context Gemini needs. Add the 4 dates on screen to my Google Calendar. I'm not sure why it's doing this. Maybe it's because I took a screenshot and it doesn't have access to my photos for some reason, but Gemini seems to be struggling. Add these dates to my calendar. I went back to Instagram to try and do it from there, and it's still not getting it. I've had great success adding multiple events with Siri AI anytime I have something on screen or even just taking a picture of something. I'm definitely going to give Siri AI the win on that one. Now, one thing I've used my shortcut for a long time is pulling things like recipe information, ingredients, and steps from an Instagram caption. One of the limitations for Siri AI has been if anything's cut off on screen, it can't add it because it can only do the on-screen context from what is actually visible. Let's see if Gemini can pull more of it, even though it's technically off-screen. Take this recipe, ingredients, and steps, and create a note with all the information. Our Siri AI did that really fast. You see, it got some of the ingredients and directions, but it's cut off after that. It looks like Gemini can only get what was on screen as well. It went down to step 5 for the directions, but if I go back to the reel, there's actually more stuff underneath it. Let's see if either can do it with the caption totally collapsed. Take this recipe, ingredients, and steps, and put all the information in a note. Now this time I don't think it pulled the steps from the actual real caption. It's basically giving me a recipe for what it saw on screen, but not from the actual person. So I still prefer using my shortcut for pulling a recipe from a reel. I'll put a link to that shortcut down in the description if you want it. Overall, both assistants can do a lot with on-screen context. I think it's interesting that Siri AI is typically faster, likely because more of it is happening on device, especially your personal context. It's having to index all of that with every Apple device you have. Whereas every time you ask Gemini something, it's going up to the cloud, checking that personal intelligence index, which is across all your Google services, YouTube, Google search history, things that are not physically on the phone. So if you're all in on Google stuff like Gmail, Google Drive, you use Google Docs and all of that for work, Gemini might have more information and be more helpful for you, but for what's actually on your phone, like text messages, multiple email accounts, Siri AI does a pretty incredible job pulling that information. And for some reason, the Pixel couldn't look at my fast mail, even though it's connected to the Gmail app here on the Pixel 10. That's a benefit of Siri AI, where you can connect your Outlook, your Gmail, fast mail, any third-party email service, and whatever emails are on your phone, Siri AI is going to index that and be able to pull any information pretty quickly. But for the final category, let's see what these assistants can do with other apps. Siri AI is going to get stopped up pretty quickly, but let's try making a playlist first. Make a music playlist with 80s funk tracks. Unfortunately, Siri AI apparently can't make a playlist. I would have to jump into the Apple Music app to do that. Gemini, no problem. Made me a YouTube music playlist with the tracks I wanted. I can save it to the library and press play. Using Apple Music, make a playlist with 80s funk. Yeah, even trying a second time, Apple Music can't do it. Now, one of the features on the Pixel 10 and the Samsung Galaxy S26 and newer phones is called Task Automation, where I can ask Gemini to do things inside other apps. Now, if third-party apps adopt app intents and hook into Siri AI, we might see more capabilities soon. But right now, this is what happens when I ask, order a grande iced flat white from Starbucks with blonde espresso and 3 stevia from the Bruceby Downs and Hunter Green location. Now, Siri AI is probably going to tell me it just can't do that, but let's see. Siri AI says, can't place an order from Starbucks, you'll need to use the Starbucks app to do that. Whereas the Pixel 10 and Samsung phones have something called Task Automation, which you can actually use the Starbucks app, Instacart, and it was recently announced 40 apps now support Gemini Task Automation, where it's going to use the apps in the background for you. And you can leave this open or shrink it and it'll do it in the background. And it can actually search for a Starbucks location, do a custom order with my modifications, even searching for the location all by itself. And it takes a while, but it will eventually do it. I actually did an entire video about Gemini Task Automation. I'll link it above. It's actually impressive. If you're driving and can't look at your phone, you can give it complex multi-drink orders and it will just do it. You can see it's going through and doing all the customizations I asked for. And then for the final step, you do have to open the Starbucks app and finally confirm your order. But really impressive how much it can do just on its own. In the same way, you can use the Instacart app to do something like order chameleon cold brew and half from Instacart Sprouts. Again, no chance that Siri AI is going to be able to do this right now. Wait a minute. That's interesting. It actually opened the Instacart app with my search query. I did not know it could do that. Obviously, it can't use the app for you, whereas Gemini Task Automation right here actually did it really quick. I can just check out on Instacart. Then all I have to do is hit continue and buy it here. So actually using the app, Gemini wins on that, but this was very interesting. I did not know it would search in an app and open it with that query. Let's try a couple more. What's the current charge of my Tesla? Now, Siri AI will ask me this sometimes, and then will likely say, yeah, something's wrong, but Looks close to being able to do it. Unfortunately, Gemini can't look inside the Tesla app and give me that information either. Now, if you have Gemini task automation on your Android device, which is the Pixel 10 line and the Galaxy S26, you can go to the personal intelligence settings and then connected apps. And of course, you can turn on all the Google ones, but if you go to other, you'll see I have all these toggled on. It does have access to Spotify to create things like playlists. You can give it access to Canva and it will take action there. Dropbox, you see Instacart is on. You can also do things like OpenTable, and more apps are being added for Gemini task automation. Actually, now that I saw OpenTable, make a reservation for Texas Cattle Company tonight. Now, Siri AI thought I wanted to create an event, but no. Gemini does seem to be opening OpenTable. It did find the right restaurant, and it even gave me available reservation times. This is the thing where OpenTable is going to have to plug into Siri AI in order to make reservations like that. Make a reservation for Texas Cattle Company tonight using OpenTable. Yeah, Siri definitely can't do it right now. Overall, I've been impressed at the speed of Siri AI, especially with personal context, doing a lot of those requests. But there were also a few times where Gemini was more accurate, like with the dates of Hamilton. And with task automation and plugging into some of those third-party apps, it does have more abilities. But as we get closer to the iOS 27 launch this fall, get subscribed, hit that like button. I'll be covering all the features. I have tons of videos out already, but we'll be sharing over 100 new features once it's available to everyone. If you want to see Gemini task automation, an in-depth review, you can watch my video on that here. Or if you want to see Siri AI and all its capabilities, I did several videos on that. I'll link one of them right here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.